Hey guys, what's up? It's Johnny here, and welcome to another episode of the SIC Show. And as always, I'm super pumped to be here, and I'm here with my main man B. How are you feeling, my brother?
Awesome.
Just awesome. This week on the show, we interview Neil V and find out if Neil V is magnificently awesome or awkwardly bland.
That's so funny.
I know.
And he's going to inspire us with some amazing images from New York City, a model that's out of this world, or two models actually. And then in the create section, he's going to show us how he uses white balance, magic, and how to photograph a wedding using one flash.
That's epic, man. And guys, don't forget to check out our free courses. Click the link below and get started today. Let's get into it.
Enjoy.
Cool.
The SIC Show. Share, inspire, create.com. Share.
Neil, so share something with us that not many people know about you.
Yeah, see, this is tough. I couldn't think of anything specific. Well, number one, my name is not really Neil. There's something else on my driver's license. We will keep that a secret. A few people know. So I posted on Facebook this afternoon that I'm having a mild existential crisis today and I need people's help. I've been asked to take part in a podcast, and one of the questions was I need to come up with something interesting about myself. So I wrote there that I oscillate between feeling magnificently awesome on some days and other days I feel awkwardly bland and unaccomplished. So I asked people to give their input. What do they think I should mention? So obviously this went off the rails after a while.
I think I actually saw that Facebook post, and there was quite a few things in there that you may not want to put on this on this interview, but that's good. So, so you a South African living in New York right now?
Yeah, New Jersey, just 20 miles out of Manhattan, out of New York.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's something really interesting because I'm a South African living in Australia.
I used to work in the television broadcast corporation in South Africa, and we emigrated. I was a stay-at-home dad for a few years, and when I got my work permit, I want to go back into broadcasting or do what I love. So went with the photography and picked it up, worked my ass off, and it's coming together. I feel like I'm on the edge of maybe being able to make this a full-time career.
Oh, I think you're way past that.
Together.
Yeah, no, you're super successful, Neil. I've been watching you for a while online, so that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Inspire.
All right, Neil, so inspire us with some of your amazing images, and I'll look at them on my screen here. And tell us a story.
So my one website is the Tangents blog, where I've got about 1,000 articles on photography, and I write tutorials and reviews and so on. And this is one of the images that I shot for the review of the ProPhoto B2 Flash. And I hired the model, a model I work with very often. We have a rhythm together, and we kind of know what the other one wants. And I rented a dress for the occasion, and I shot this. I'm using a ProPhoto B2, which has got a fair amount of punch to it, and a 35mm 1.4 lens. It just gives a very unique look where I was able to pull in the city. And it's just one of those images, or a sequence of images where, sometimes you look at a photograph and you go, damn it, I wish I was that good, that I could take photographs that look this awesome. And this first photograph here, it was for me, wow, this image just really has an unusual punch for me. And it makes me proud and excited that I took an image that really works as well. And two more of this. And the photography itself is fairly simple. I think my photography is pretty straightforward. In the end, it's just a 35 1.4 lens, which is accessible to photographers, and a ProPhoto B2 light, which gives a fair amount of juice in high-speed sync. So I can get really nice lighting at a wide aperture and incorporate the city. So the technique itself is not unusual, but for me, it was just a combination of blue dress and kind of the shadow side of the buildings turned blue, and there's contrasted with the yellow taxi cabs. There was just something in the sequence of images that really worked for me. And it's just one of those moments where you feel you're on the cusp of another level. Things like, wow, okay, I can do this now. I can do this now. So I think through constantly working at this and chipping away at it to the point where things really make sense technically and things hang together and you can pull things off very easily, it makes images that have this kind of punch far easier to get. So I'm rambling.
No, that's great. I'm loving it, Neil. I've been following your work, and you shoot some beautiful, beautiful portraits, and I'm just loving these images, especially the cool dress in the shadow side. And looks like you got the model backlit, and I love that first one with the where you framed her in between those buildings like that, and her pose is just beautiful with her arms kind of following the outline of the dress.
Now the room lighting is the sun.
Yes.
Pretty much just a position of a matter of where I position her in relation to the light and the background. And as I said, a lot of my photography is really simple. Well, actually, all of my photography is really simple. When I do a photo session like this on location, now obviously this is shot for myself, not to the brief of a client. So there's a huge amount of freedom. But I always look at the background first. The background has to be interesting or complementary or simple or not jarring. Here it was easier with a very wide aperture lens to throw the background sufficiently out of focus. And then I make sure the background works, the background's complementary. I make sure I'm not fighting against the existing light. And I just pump it up with off-camera lighting. And working in a very simple, logical, step-by-step way, I can be sure the images will, at the very least, be successful. Yeah, and occasionally the magic happens and that happens. So I want to show another image.
Okay.
And again, it's the warm tones and the cold tones. And here I used a Fresnel light on the model, which was, I put in a tungsten gel on it. It's actually daylight balanced, but I put in a tungsten gel.
Is that behind her?
No. It's in front of it.
Okay, right.
So the Fresnel light is shining on her. So you can see the edge of her nose, the shadow of a nose is a fairly sharp edge. So it's a small light source. It's a 3-inch white Fresnel, which gives you that Hollywood glamour lighting.
Yes.
By putting an incandescent gel, orange gel, I take my camera's white balance to incandescent, so that now becomes neutral. The background is another Fresnel light, which I didn't gel, which now goes blue because it's daylight.
Yeah.
And on the background on the wall is a little device, the light blaster. We put in a gobo with a pattern. There was a star pattern, so it's flash blasting onto the background with that pattern.
Oh,
but
wow.
because these two light sources, the one is flash, the other one is continuous light, another Fresnel light, but both are daylight balanced, gives you that blue. And if you look at the comparison shot, kind of a pullback shot, you'll see that it's just a studio, it's a blank wall. But all of these combinations work. But where it really hangs together is that it's a warm light on her, which now is neutral, and the daylight balanced light sources become blue. And the two daylight sources are two very different light sources. One is continuous, and one is flash. And with this test shot, what I really liked is I set the model up. I just want to make sure everything is balanced. I took the shot and I showed her, and she said, "Where did that come from?" A blank gray wall behind her. There's nothing. And she didn't see me set up that. You can see there in the background the flash, then the little light blaster. She didn't see that. So she had no idea where the starburst pattern came from. So that was my own little throw. But again, here, it's a few simple elements, and it's systematically put together with the idea of, let me try this. And again, it's the different colors. It's the, let me add a hairlight. Hang on, let me make it blue. So it's, again, systematically put together with the idea there's an interesting background. The light on my model has to be flattering, and the background lighting has to be complementary. So it's just a very simple way of building up an image, whether it's on location or in the studio. Take care of, again, the background, the light of the background has to be complementary, the light in your model, composition has to work. And in this way, you can always be sure of an image that works, regardless. Now, whether it hits the level of genius or something really spectacular, that you might have to work towards. But this way, at the minimum, on occasion in the studio, I can be sure of a portrait that actually works. That I can't, at this point, I can't fail simply because I keep to this algorithm.
That's awesome, Neil. I'm loving those images, and they're just amazing. You know what really I love about your photography, and other than the perfect lighting and the backgrounds, is the way you pose the models. I mean, they just beautifully posed. I look at the closer shot, you know, the kind of the head and shoulders with her hand and her fingers all relaxed, you know, kind of the dancing finger pose on her shoulder or her bicep. Just love it. It's so,
Again,
I don't know, there's just something about it.
The posing here is systematic. Now, with a previous model, Annalisa, I've worked with her often. I like her posing, but she doesn't know what I'm getting in the frame, so I have to adjust her pose. And I found that with newer models, they tend to move too fast. They feel under pressure to give me something, whereas what I want is stop. Give me something, stop, and I'll flex that. If there's nothing to work with, we'll change it up until there's something that, okay, now move your hand, etc. And it's a few basic things that I work with. That photograph of Jessica, the one in the studio with the starburst behind her, she has a way of throwing her head back on a pose. And then there's a little line in the neck, and you see too much of the underside of her chin, and I wanted the other one, and I had to tell her how to pose and how to move it. And with that, in the studio, I use my hands to show her how to do it. Drop the chin, move your head, tilt it over, etc. To give me that, and I had to move her head. So there's not quite short lighting. It's kind of somewhere between short lighting and Rembrandt lighting. But I wanted flattering light on her, and I just had to do her shoulder into the light. Now, her hand on her arm, if you do that, it's tilt the camera a little bit. It becomes a big square object. Even with an elegant small framed woman, it becomes a big square object right on the hand there. So I had to move her hand, move her hand, move her hand until it's that. Because the hand also, if this is straight, it becomes a long object, which looks weird.
Yeah.
But the moment you give it an S-curve, there's a shape that you can work with. And you don't want the back of the hand because that's, again, a square block.
Yep.
So tilt your hand, give me a bit of the fingers, etc. And then she just very elegantly, we worked to that pose. It took half a minute or a minute to work to that and build it up bit by bit till we had that.
That's great. So you're directing her the whole time, are you?
I'm directing her. And with the other one, the photo shoot on location with Annalisa, there's a behind the scenes video clip that people can watch. And you can hear her direct her, and it's just drop your chin, move your hand, give me more something, move your hands up. Because if, for example, if a model is working and she's dropping hands to the side, she might be anticipating a vertical shot, whereas I have a horizontal shot, but they don't know how tight it is. So I might ask her to bring her hands into frame for something.
Yep.
So you can hear there how I talk to the model. It's a constant stream of instructions, changing things, and encouragement. The photograph of Jessica in the studio is perhaps more meticulously posed than I normally would. Normally, I just fine-tune the pose given to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you work with a wedding couple, I mean, people have no idea how to present themselves. They just stand straight in front of the camera. It's up to you, to the photographer, to do a few basic adjustments. And most of these aren't difficult to do. Like with men, put your weight in the back foot, turn your body a little bit, swing shoulders open, and it's small adjustments. But really, the key here is I show them what I want, even with a model. And there's a certain humor in this, obviously, because I'm a big, bulky guy and elegant.
And you're posing.
It looks silly, but it makes them laugh, but it breaks the ice and it builds up the rapport. And, but wedding clients, whoever it might be, you as the photographer have to pose them, direct them, guide it. If you start telling yourself, I'm not into posing, it's all natural, I feel you're cheating your clients out of a better experience, because with a few simple tweaks, you can make your clients present themselves better than they would have. It's your obligation as a photographer to just do a little something, help them.
I agree.
It's the way they pop their knee, etc., their hips, etc. Show them, use your hands, use your body, have your body, tell them to mirror whatever you are doing. And this way you've got lot of control over how they present themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree, Neil. And I've found when I look at great photographers photographing models or weddings, they seem to have very good communication skills. They can communicate what they want from the model really easily, either by mirroring the model, posing, doing the thing, and doing that in front of the model, or just directing them with their hands or by voice. And I think that's very important. And a lot of photographers don't realize how important it is to be able to direct a model effectively. And the other question I had for you, Neil, just going back to the ProPhoto B2 lighting you used on the first image, where you've got the model backlit with the sun, and then popping in the lighting, obviously on our right-hand side, on the model's left. Now, you said you're shooting at a pretty fast shutter speed, because I know you're shooting at f1.4, which means that your shutter speed is going to be pretty high, and it's obviously more than 200th of a second sync speed. What are you shooting at?
Well, these images, the three of them were 2,000th of a second up to approximately 4,000th of a second at 100 ISO. The one was actually 300 ISO at 64. But it's about 2,000 to 4,000th of a second at around 100 ISO.
And the lights can sync at that speed?
Lights can sync at that speed. Now, the ProPhoto B1 has an extra stop of juice, which helps. But with the ProPhoto B2, I had to be fairly close to the model. So the light was just over my shoulder, but it helped with the ultra-wide angle lens.
Yeah, and what kind of light modifier do you have on the front? Do you have a beauty dish or?
No, that was just a simple, I think it was a 1x3 or a 2x3 softbox.
Okay.
Medium-sized softbox, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
A beauty dish is not something I often use on location. They get dinged very quickly.
Yeah.
They get dinged. If you take a beauty dish out of location, you can be 100% sure you'll ding it.
Okay. Awesome.
Gives you a nice without being so.
Yeah. That's great. So thank you, Neil, so much for inspiring us with these amazing images. You are a master at portraits and models and just photographing people with the lighting and the background and all that. So thank you very much.
Now, before we go, you asked for something that nobody really knows about me. My real name, Cornelius.
Cornelius.
just don't tell the whole world. So
okay, what?
This is the first public announcement of what my real name is, not Neil.
Okay, Cornelius van Niekerk. I like it.
Yeah, suddenly it sounds very familiar, just like home.
It does, totally. I'm probably one of the only interviewers who can pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah, I've had to Americanize it a little bit. Van Niekerk.
Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. VN. I like the website, the VN at the back.
Create.
All right, Neil. So you're going to teach us something next in the create section, and I believe it's this something to do with a wedding that you photographed. Can you explain that to us?
Oh, it's a wedding image. It's a groom being lifted up by his friends, and it's a massive venue, a huge hotel reception room. Now, when I first started doing wedding photography 12 plus years ago, Nikon D100 was my first digital camera. The 800 ISO was about the highest you could really comfortably take it. Even that was a pinch. But right now, you've got clean 3200 ISO on your modern cameras, like your Canon 5D Mark III and 6D, and D750 is beautiful, D4, etc. And I think people are still locked into the idea of they have to use a lower ISO for the best image quality. Whereas I tend to bump the ISO higher and higher and higher to give myself a more natural look, where the ambient light still gives me some kind of context. So in this massive venue, where 12 years ago I would have had to put up additional lighting in the corners to light up the place, this was lit up by one speed light on my camera.
Wow.
I'm dumping full power behind me into the area behind me over my shoulder. And what is behind me is what you see there in the front, is that massive venue. So I'm not bouncing off a specific wall or surface. I'm bouncing to an area exactly like that behind me, over my shoulder. Full power. But I'm shooting at, what was the setting here? 3.5, f3.5,
okay.
2500 ISO.
Wow.
So you start pushing that kind of a high ISO, enough light will return, even in a place like this. So what I have here is, with minimal effort, because it's one speed light on my camera that I walk around the crowd with camera and lens, I can light up the entire venue. And I've added in a comparison shot here where at pretty much the same settings, or is it the same settings? Let me just quickly check. Yeah, exactly the same settings.
Without the
flash. Yeah, just so you can see the amount of work that a single flash would have done.
Wow, that's crazy.
I think people are still too afraid to really... I mean, you paid megabucks for that camera, and one of the features is very, very good high ISO quality, image quality, and use it. And for me, a couple of things here. It looks natural, and there's something else that happens with bounce flash into that area behind me. The inverse square law means the background becomes lighter. And there's a long explanation about that, but the way that it is a logarithmic curve, it starts flattening the further away you are from the light source, which means the entire place becomes much brighter in the background with one on-camera speed light.
Wow.
So I don't bounce forward. I don't have a diffuser cup, because the moment I bring my light source closer to my subject, you start getting a hard shadow and your background goes darker because your light source is now closer to your subject than it is the background. Mm-hmm. Bounce behind me over my shoulder, way up there, where I want my light to come from. Floods the place with light, and you get an image that looks like that. And I don't have to set up additional lights. I don't have to worry about people kicking the light stands over. I don't have to worry about triggering the other lights in different groups. And then the main thing for me is there would have been hotspots in the corners. Or if there's lights behind me, there's weird cross shadows. So the hotspots and the cross shadows are now eliminated with just one flash on my camera. And with this, I have a success rate of 95+%. All the images work because it's utter simplicity in the execution. So that's it. Don't be afraid. Be bold.
Love that, Neil. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and especially the comparison image, because, when I was looking at the first image, I thought, oh, okay, maybe you can get away without a flash or a speed light on your camera. But then comparing it to the image that's so dark, and, you've obviously just got the ambient light, and, everyone's, really dark compared to the background. It's just that's a great tip. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Neil, and thanks so much for being on the SIC show. We'll obviously be sharing a lot of your resources in the show notes from the show. So thank you very much.
Pleasure, man. Take care.
Okay. Cheers.
Oh, man. Neil van Niekerk, a.k.a. Cornelius.
Neil Van, if you're Johnny, because you can't pronounce the last name. Yeah, no, he's awesome, man. Eh? What an interesting fella. Funny, too. That story. It's
no, it's
funny,
crazy.
Mate.
And you know what? He's an amazing guy, because he's got a blog site called Tangents, which has got over 1,000 articles that he's written.
Oh, that's amazing, guys. Check out the links, man. You've got to go and check that out.
Yeah.
That's actually incredible.
Even in our community, in the Share Inspire Create Lounge, we've actually quoted some of his reviews and how things work from his Tangents blog, that's crazy.
It is, man.
So Neil's a super smart guy. I think he doesn't tell us how smart he is, but I know how smart he is and how great a photographer he is.
Oh, you can see by his images, man.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And that little white balance trick, that's pretty cool, isn't it, man?
I like that trick. Yeah, just putting the gel on the flash. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep, awesome.
And
man.
there's models in New York City, just
epic,
just so polished. That's what I love about his work. Yep. It's just so good.
Polished, yeah.
I want to be like that.
It's a classic example of someone who just mastered their craft.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro. It's been another epic show, another awesome interview. Great photographer. Check out the links below and go and check out his work, man, because he's got some great stuff.
Yeah, and he's also got 3 books that he's published.
Oh, really?
That are on Amazon. Well, he's published them through a publisher, but you can buy them on Amazon. And I know he puts in a lot of effort into these books. And I think he's just about to redo a second edition of one.
Wow.
One of his first ones.
So, so look out for that.
Yeah,
that'll be exciting, man. Exciting. Cool, guys. Been another epic show. And don't forget to check out our free courses. Click the link below. We're super pumped about it, aren't we, buddy?
Yeah,
definitely. And they've been, man, hundreds of people have taken them already, and we're helping them master their photography.
Awesome. So take Johnny's post-processing one, my landscape, and my portrait one.
Yeah, man. Jump on it. Get it done. And have a great week.
Awesome, guys. Catch you next week.
Bye.
To find out more, go to shareinspirecreate.com.